Let us take a look at the description of this task and see if we can devise a plan for how to solve it. So our previous script was a success, yay! But of course we need another script for the next party. And we can see here that the new script shall read all guests' guesses and write them to a text file. So we can see here, alright, the script shall write them to a text file using the same format as we used before. So I marked this. This seems vital to what we're supposed to do. And then it tells us that there must be clear instructions. Maybe that is not something that we see in the flowchart, but it's definitely something that we should remember for when we implement it. And then it says here that we can choose if we're going to ask how many guests there are, or if we're going to use a sentinel value when inputting the guest. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to read how many guests there are. I marked that too, so we have figured out what we need to do, and I don't think there is anything unclear in the text, so I'm going to go on and devise my plan. And as you can see, I added the function call to main and the return out of main. But what are we supposed to do now? So let's see if we can come up with a plan. So I said that I'm going to read how many guests there are. This is probably something I need to do early on in the script so that I then can create a loop to read all the guests' names and guesses. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to ask how many guests there are. And then the text told us that we're going to use a text file. So I'm going to make sure that I open it. Alright, so we have read how many there are, how many guests there are. We have opened the text file. Now let's ask all the guests for their name and their guess. So for that we need a loop of some kind. And I'm going to say that, alright, are there more guests? If yes, what should we then do? Then we're going to read the name and the guess of one person, and then we're going to write that to the file. Let's draw some arrows here so it's easier to track what we're doing. Alright, so let's imagine that there are more guests. We have inputted that there are 2 maybe. Then we go in and read the first person's name and guess, write that to the file, go back, do the same for the second person, and then if there are no more guests, what should we do then? There is one thing that we must not forget to do, and that is to close the file. When we have done that, we're pretty much finished. So now I'm just going to clean up this, the flowchart here. And I think I'm pretty happy with this. Just let us see if it corresponds to the text. So we said here, the things that we marked is that we shall read all guests' guesses and write them to a file using the same format as before. Right, so can we see that we have that in our flowchart here? Yes, we read the name and guesses and we write them to the file. And even if there are many, we will continue in the loop here to input their names and guesses and writing them to the file. So we have that. And if we have a file, we must open it and close it. So we have that. Even if it's not explicitly said in the text, we need to open a file and we need to close it. And we are going to read how many guests there are. Yeah, we have that too. So I think we have a pretty solid plan for how to solve this task now. And that's what we're going to do in the implementation video.